Hello everyone and welcome to my NRL 2020 season preview. I guess I kind of had one of these when the season was meant to, but the pandemic has really changed the shape of sport as a whole, and we are getting NRL back in just 4 days. It is Sunday at the time of filming the NRL returns on Thursday night with the Eels and the Broncos. I'm really looking forward to the return. During this video, I'm going to be discussing the team changes, which a few of these are quite recent. If I'm not speaking about a change, I'm sorry, because I may have thought it was 2021 rather than 2020. I'm going to be speaking about my ladder prediction and a few rounds that I think have some real good games and some good clashes. So stick around, it's going to be fun, and let's get into the 2020 season. Okay, so I'm going to start with my ladder predictions. It's something you've all been looking forward to, asking me for, begging for this video. As for the Warriors, it's really hard to speak about them. By saying the Warriors, I guess that gives this away because they're obviously not getting the minor premiership, so I am doing from bottom to top. In 16th place, I have the New Zealand Warriors. Now, the reasons for this outline is the injuries. The injuries have clouded them a lot. Adam Curran is injured. Bunty Afoa is injured. Isaiah Papali'i is injured. Jazz Tavanga is injured. It is mental how many injuries the Warriors had. They've had offers from Sam Thaiday, Paul Gallen, you name it. Billy Slater, I think, even said he would step up. Now, with the Warriors, though, I think the mixed emotions of not being in New Zealand and being here, not around their family, I think they're going to cause some upset wins. I think they're going to have a decent year, but unfortunately, I see them finishing in 16th. I really like their recent signing from the Canberra Raiders. They've signed Jack Murchie, and Jack Murchie is quite a young gun, so keep your eye on him. But I do see the Warriors in 16th place. In second last, 15th position, I believe I had them at 12th at the start of the season, but they've had a few changes now. It is last year's Wooden Spooners, the Gold Coast Titans. Now, when I'm speaking about the Titans, AJ Brimson is out, which will probably move Philip Sammy to fullback. As for their four-pack, Jai Arrow will move to the Rabbits. I believe that is not this year, though. I believe that is 2021. But I don't see much from the Titans this year. Again, they could string together some wins. And look, I'm nervous to put these teams down the bottom. They were down there last year. And if they can get the motor running, these teams could be quite good. We saw a different side of the Warriors in 2018, and they made the top 8. Can the Titans do the same? I personally don't think so. But don't write these teams off. They've all got a very different mentality. Home field advantage is there, but it's very minimal. But there's no games at Cbus Super Stadium. The Titans have lost a home. They will play all their games at Suncorp, so I'm going to put them in 15th place. Next up, in 14th position, originally my Wooden Spoon, but they started a decent side this year with a win over the Dragons and then a loss to Newcastle. I have the West Tigers. Now, again, I'm quite doubtful on this side. They've got a lot of experience with Benji Marshall. Luke Brooks is a great halfback, and Corey Thompson is a fantastic fullback, underrated. Harry Grant comes into the side, and Harry Grant, keep your eyes on him, I'm telling you now. An absolute young gun. Billy Walters looks good. There's a lot to like about the Tigers. I just really don't know. They will be playing at Campbelltown a lot of their game, so that is quite a bit of an advantage for them. But I've got them down in that bottom 4 spot because I think the other teams will do a bit better. But I think the Tigers was someone that I saw having a really struggling year. However, I think that even though they will finish in 14th, they'll have some decent wins this year and stay away from 9th place. In 13th position, a team that has too many halves, in my opinion. You've got Brandon Wakeham, you've got Kieran Foran, you've got Lachlan Lewis. There are too many different combinations. Kieran Foran coming back into the side looks really good for them, though. He looks fit. Their forward pack has the experience of Josh Jackson. But other than that, you've had the loss of Corey Harawira-Naera and the winger, Jaden Okunbor. Remus Smith is still good. I actually had these guys, I believe, in 10th, but now I see them dropping a bit. They haven't had a win this season yet. And in 13th position, I am tipping the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. I think the Doggies had a real good end to the season last year, and I still think they would have fired up. I think this mentality now will change them, and I think there's a lot of changes coming to their team with Kieran Foran coming back in, and I think there'll be more changes made by Dean Pay. So I'm going to put the Bulldogs down in 13th. In 12th position, this is someone I think I had them in 9th, just outside the 8. However, now it's funny because they're coming back real fresh. You've got Cameron McInnes, you've got Ravalawa, and I believe Josh Kerr coming back into the side, quite freshen up. You've got the loss though of Tyson Frizzell to the Knights next year, not from this year, so Tyson will play with them. In 12th place, I have the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now, a lot of people are tipping the Dragons for the spoon, and I really disagree with you. Their forward pack is real good. Tyson Frizzell, Paul Vaughan, even Jacob Host, and Josh Kerr looks real promising as well. But look, it's a funny one with the Dragons, but they really could be the improvers of the year and shock a lot of people. But for me, I think they'll finish just outside the bottom 4 and in 12th position for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. In 11th position, now these guys I originally actually had in the 8, and look, I'm kind of skeptical to put them here. I think a lot of people will be putting them in and out, so it'll be very confusing. I think half of you will put them in the 8, half outside. Cleary is only gone for round 1, and look, I'm going to put them in 11th, and that is the Penrith Panthers. Really strong start to the year. Api Coruscant looked good. Cleary looked good. Caleb Aikens will probably be forced back to either the bench or out of the starting side as Dylan Edwards looks ready to return. But I'm putting the Panthers in 11th. I think they didn't make the finals last year. They won't be there this year. But it's really tough. But I think there's other teams that are going to make their finals appearance this year, and the Panthers aren't one of them.
No.
Just finishing outside the top 8 in 10th position, I actually have the Cronulla Sharks. Now, they're a team that consistently make the 8. The loss of Paul Gallen is huge, but they did look quite good against Souths. And was it Melbourne, I believe, they played in round 2? I think it was Melbourne, but I'm having a blank. I think it was Melbourne. Sorry if I'm wrong. But the Sharks, they look decent. Katoa looks real good on the wing. There's a bit of trouble with Dugan going on, so hopefully they can sort that out. Will Kennedy looks fantastic at fullback. I'm not sure what the situation is with Matt Moylan and his injury, but I think the Sharks will shock a lot of people who think they'll be down here, and I think they'll finish in 10th position. This team, I believe I had in 6th position, but they didn't convince me enough in the first 2 rounds, and look, they really could improve. They have got that home field advantage, not with fans, obviously, we're not allowed in the stadium, but I think playing on your home field where you train, you feel in this mentality of not travelling, I think it's a good thing. I have the North Queensland Cowboys just missing out on a finals appearance this year. Very close. Michael Morgan will be out for, I believe, 4 weeks due to a shoulder injury. Valentine Holmes doesn't look great at fullback. He'd look good on the wing for Ben Hampton, in my opinion. Ben Hampton dropped to the bench, and you'd put Scott Drinkwater. I don't know, Scott Drinkwater at fullback, but he's a great number 6, so it's a real tough one. But Valentine Holmes needs to be on the wing for the Cowboys to make my finals appearance, I think. So that is the bottom 8 for the NRL season. Coming in 8th position, your top 8. First finals appearance in 7 years. The Newcastle Knights will make the 8 this year. Now, they've just signed Andrew McCulloch as their hooker. That will start this year due to Jaden Brayley suffering an ACL injury. Jaden Brayley is part of my draft team in the Sheds podcast, so that's not good for me. However, he's a great player, and I wish him the best in his recovery. As for the Knights, that signing of McCulloch is quite big. They've got an experienced side. Ponga's just getting better and better, and you've got Pearce, who is fantastic. Kurt Mann as a 5'8" is a bit iffy for me, but we'll see how he develops. Their centres look good in Shibasaki and Tuola. I think they can develop and get better. When Bradman Best comes back fit, he will be quite dangerous. So for mine, the Newcastle Knights will finish in 8th. Coming in number 7 for my top 8, I have the Brisbane Broncos. They'll be there. The Broncos always find a way to be there. No Tavita Pangai Jr., I believe, for another 3 matches. He suffered a 4-match ban in round 1. David Fafita is out for a while due to an injury. I think it's a shoulder. It could be a leg. I think it's a shoulder though. Massive loss. That is a huge loss for the Broncos. Brady Croft looks potentially fit and ready to go. Payne Haas, the big bopper. I think this team will do big things this year. And I wasn't expecting much from Milford, but if he can run the ball and score some points, the Broncos will be quite dangerous. So for mine, the Broncos to finish in 7th place. Exactly the same position as last year. This team is at full strength at the moment. They have a real good side. Their leadership with Cherry Evans is dangerous. In 6th place, I have the Manly Sea Eagles. I think Manly Sea Eagles are one of the teams that will play finals this year for sure. I think they're a lock. Tom Trbojevic, Cherry Evans, Fanua Blake, they look real good. Danny Levi hooker, we'll wait and see how he develops. Coruscant looks great for Penrith, and I think it's a huge loss for Manly. I think I would have put Manly in the top 4, but I've got them in 6th. In 5th position, I don't see this team making the top 4. They lost their first 2 in the round, but that means nothing to me. I think the loss of Cooper Cronk, Latrell Mitchell, even though he's gone from centre to a fullback and he should be at centre, I've got the Roosters. Now, the Roosters in 5th position for mine. I really don't see them making the top 4. They do have a quality side with Tedesco. Flanagan he'll take some time to develop. I wouldn't say he looks bad, but I've got the Roosters having a bit of a drop this year, and I really don't see the Roosters winning the premiership and doing a 3-peat. So let's move on to my top 4 now. In 4th position, I'm very nervous to put this team. A few people have actually put them outside the 8. They've got a few issues to work out. You've got Cody Walker suspended. You've got mental health issues, and I wish James Roberts all the best with those, which I've given it away now. And the other issue is Latrell. You've got the punishment potential for Latrell, and with Addo Carr, that situation there. I think there's a lot of cloud over this team. But I'm going to trust them, and I'm going to put them in 4th position. The South Sydney Rabbitohs. They've got a good young squad. Sewer, Walker, the experience of Reynolds. Johnston off the bench looks good. Latrell, I'll give him some time at fullback, but if not, you've got to push him back to the centres, Wayne. If he's not doing something for this team and they're not winning game. They had a decent game against the Broncos, but I've got the Rabbits in 4th position. In 3rd position, I'll put it here. I'm not being biased. I actually legitimately think we have our best squad on paper right now. Reid Marnie looks like he is fit and ready to go on Thursday. We do lose Nathan Brown, I believe, which is a 2-match ban from the judiciary from the Bulldogs game. No, round 2, maybe. Titans game. Nathan Brown out for the Eels. There you go. 3rd position, I'm backing the Eels. I really do think we can make the top 4 this year. I think the draw is quite good for us. We have some tough teams to play against and win. Be a very tough game against, spoiler alert, one of my games to look forward to, the Raiders. But there we go. I've got the Eels in 3rd. In 2nd position, just finish off without the minor premiership, but a real good year for them. They did make the grand final last year, and I think things get a lot better for them. Johnny Bateman, Nickel Clockstad, Jack Whiten, Jared Croker, Josh Papali. I can't name one bad player in this team. Josh Hodgson. In 2nd place, I've got the Canberra Raiders. I think they're going to be the team to beat. They're going to be absolutely ruthless, and their forward pack is going to be memorable this year. Those names I said are just massive, and I expect massive things for the Raiders. I think they'll definitely finish above the Eels. I do see us in 3rd and the Raiders in 2nd, but there is one team who I see picking up the minor premiership. And that team that I haven't mentioned that did get the minor premiership last year, a lot of people think they'll drop, but I think the experience of Cameron Smith, the skill and pace of Ryan Pappenhausen is huge. You've got Jerome Hughes in the number 7, Munster's experience as well. Munster's becoming quite a good half, developing, maturing a lot. Justin Olam looks fantastic. Addo Carr's final year. I do not think that the Melbourne Storm will win the grand final, but I do back the Melbourne Storm to be your minor premiers. So that is my NRL ladder for 2020. Let's have a look at what the finals would mean. So finals format is quite funny. It's hard to follow, but let's have a look. And look, I've done the ladder predictor, so I'm going to compare it to my ladder predictor and include that as finals because I hadn't even had thought about that. So the Storm would play the Rabbitohs in a qualifying final. I would probably back the Storm in that game. So we'll put the Storm there through to a preliminary final, which means the Rabbits will play, we'll have to wait and see. And then the other prelim, the other qualifier would be the Raiders and the Eels. I will go Parramatta. I don't know why, but I'll go Parramatta to make it through there. So, then for the bottom 8, we would have the Roosters against the Knights. I think in this one I would have to back the Chookies. So the Knights are out. And Manly versus the Broncos. So I think I'd back the Sea Eagle, which would take Brisbane out. So what does this mean for finals week 2? Well, it means the foundation clubs that meet in the final round would meet again, like last year. The Roosters would play the Rabbits. I'll back the Rabbits in an upset here. This would mean that the Raiders would play the Broncos. Tough game, but I think I'd go with the Canberra Raiders here. I can rely on them more. So that would mean that you've got Raiders, Rabbits, Storm, and Eels remaining, which funnily enough is your top 4. So continuing on, this means that very juicy matchups, Storm and the Raiders for a preliminary final. And I will back the Canberra Raiders in this prelim to win. This would mean that the Parramatta Eels will face the South Sydney Rabbitohs to decide the second spot in the grand final. And you know what? I'm going to back the Eels. So there we have it. The grand final, based off my ladder predictor and my predictions, is the Raiders versus the Eels. Your 2020 premiers that I am absolutely backing, and it's crazy to think that my ladder prediction has led to it as well, is the Canberra Raiders. The Canberra Raiders will win the 2020 premiership with a star-studded cast of Clockstad, Whiten, Papali, Bateman. They have a great squad. They have the potential to do it. The Raiders, for mine, are the winners. Let's take a look at what happened when I played the ladder predictor. So, I decided to play NRL.com ladder predictor. I have a lot of fun with it every year. I had a lot of fun at the start of the year. It was a real long video, so I didn't include at this time. Sorry, the phone came out. But this is what I had at the halfway point of the season. The Raiders on top, the Storm, the Knights in 3rd, Parramatta 4th, Roosters 5th, Rabbitohs 6th, Manly 7th, Penrith 8th. That was your top 8 at the halfway mark. Outside the 8, Cowboys, Dragons, Brisbane, Cronulla, Titans, Bulldogs, Warriors, and Tigers. So that was what I had. Here is what happened when the ladder predictor concluded for me. All 20 rounds predicted with kind of, like, I don't focus on the score too much, but I pick the margin, even though the margin should include 6 and 14 and stuff. But anyway, let's not go there. So minor premiers, just like mine. Melbourne Storm. 2nd place, the Canberra Raiders, just like mine. Parramatta, 3rd, just like mine. I think I had them losing in round 20, which actually lost them the minor premiership, believe it or not, because they had a very good 4. In fourth place was the Manly Seagulls. Now, I've got them finishing in sixth position. However, my ladder predictor has them finishing in fourth. Outside of the top four, Rabbitohs in fifth, Roosters in sixth, Broncos in seventh, and the Newcastle Knights in eighth. So the Broncos in seventh and the Knights in eighth, exactly like my ladder predictor. And you won't believe it, the Cowboys in ninth. Now in 10th, I've got them in 13th, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. 11th, real good rise and a good middle of the season led the Titans to a few wins. The Titans finished off, let's have a look, with 12 losses and 8 wins. After the Titans, Penrith Panthers in 12th, I've got them in 11th, one spot up. The Dragons in 13th, the Sharks in 14th, I've got them in 10th. The Tigers in 15th, I've got them in 14th. And the Warriors in 16th. So that is my NRL.com ladder predictor. Before this video ends, let's get into some games that I'm looking forward to. And I think there's 4 rounds that have some juicy matchups. So, 4 rounds that I've picked out that I think this round being hyped up is quite good. There's some good matchup. I think these rounds beat it a bit though. Let's speak about the 4 rounds that I'm most looking forward to. We'll move to round 7. 3 clashes. You've got the Sharks and Manly. The Sharks have the potential to beat Manly. Manly have a big record against them. Looking forward to seeing what the Sharks can do. Parramatta and the Raiders. Well, I guess it's my grand final prediction now. Based on that ladder, back in the grand final. There's your grand final preview in round 7. Round 7 also has the Roosters and the Dragons. Now, it's normally an Anzac Day clash, and we won't get it that way this year. I've got the Dragons in 12th and the Roosters in 5th, but they always turn up, the Dragons, regardless of how good or bad they are, they turn up against the Roosters. That's round 7. Round 10, grand final rematch, Roosters and the Raiders. I'll say it right now. I think I'd back the Raiders to get it over the Roosters and pull off a win to piss them off. Round 10, Eels and Manly. Now this is also in round 5, so it'll be probably at Bankwest because it's Eels' home game, I believe. But good rivalry there with Manly. Round 10, I would have been watching this at Magic Round if it wasn't for the pandemic. Rabbits and the Knights. And round 16 next, Parramatta and the Rabbitohs. I previewed it in a prelim, I believe. No, not a prelim, in a semi-final game. Very good team the Rabbits have, and the Eels, I think, are in for a big year. 16, a game that goes under the radar, but it doesn't go unnoticed for mine. Roosters and the Broncos. Broncos look good this year. I think they'll make a good, memorable match. Sharks and the Cowboys. Sharks and Cowboys are 2 even teams to mine that will finish outside the 8, but they will have a decent year, and I'd keep an eye out for them both. I've got the Cowboys in 9th and the Sharks in 10th. Storm and Manly. It's a clash for the ages. BKR in the Sheds podcast. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. We've had massive guests. We've had Jamie Soward. We've had Charlie Dixon. We've had an NRL draft where we drafted a whole team. And this week, we've got Charlie Thompson. I will make a video regarding Blazers' announcement about In the Sheds announcing all the guests, so I'll make that later. But Storm and Manly, let's talk about that. It is a fantastic rivalry. It is always a good game. It went to Golden Point last year. Manly lost at home, and the Storm won the minor premiership there. Manly will be out for blood, I tell you now, in that match. And round 19, real looking forward to round 19. The second last round of the season. You've got the Rabbits and the Bulldogs. I think it's always a decent game. It's meant to be a good Friday match. I think we're never going to see a game at ANZ now, so I think that'll be a memorable clash between those clubs that would have played the final game at ANZ. Eels and the Broncos. It happens this week, so I'm looking forward to that more, I guess. But it's always fun when we play the Broncos, and this one's at home, so let's get them. And then finally, another game that goes unnoticed, and they have a good record against them, the Sharks, the Roosters, and the Sharks. Guys, that is it. That is my full NRL 2020 season preview. Just to recap, you've heard my ladder, You've heard the games I'm excited for. I've told you to check out the In the Sheds podcast, of course. Here is my ladder one more time. Thank you for watching, guys. I do sell merch for the channel now, so do message me on Instagram. $35 a shirt. There is 10 designs to choose from. I do have video relating. If you're returning to the channel after a bit of a break, I do open up NRL box cards on a fortnightly basis. I just did a group break, so go and smash the like on that video. I recently hit 50 likes, which is awesome. I'm on the road to 2K sub. I'm looking forward to the NRL. I'll have to see, but I think on Thursday night, I will have to do a live stream reaction to the Eels and the Broncos. You've been great. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys this afternoon.